be bringing out a few different animals for you guys to look at, learn about, and possibly touch. The only rules I do have for the show is just please don't get up and walk around while I have the animals out. Just for your safety, my safety, and the animal safety, and as well with that, try not to touch near their mouths or their heads. I'm pretty sure no one here wants to be bit. And if you guys do want to touch the animals, please sit in the first or second row or towards the edges of the bleachers. I'm really not trying to hover any animals over anybody's heads. They are animals and they do urinate and defecate, and I'm sure nobody wants that stuff on you. And if you don't know what that means they pee and they poo. But I will be bringing out our first two guests for you guys. Alrighty, everybody. Say hello to Princess and Fiji. In my right hand, which is most of your guys' left, that would be Princess. In this hand, this guy, his name is Fiji. Now these guys are Eclectus parrots. They come from the Solomon Islands, which is right off the coast of Australia. And these guys are actually considered nuisances in the Solomon Islands because they have a very, very long digestive tract, which means they eat all the farmers' crops. They love fruits and veggies. So these guys do destroy the crops. But do I have a volunteer that will want to help me out really quick? Alright, since I saw your hand first. Alright, so you could walk Princess around and let people touch her. Like I said, if you guys can, just nod her head from her shoulders down, pretty much from where the purple is down. Now, Princess here is a female. This guy, Fiji, he is the male. Now, at first, the scientists thought that these two birds were completely different species because, well, I don't know if you guys know anything about birds out in the wild. Usually, the males are a lot prettier than the females. I wouldn't say Princess is ugly at all. She's her own individual. Now, as I was saying, they thought that they were completely different species until they found out they were mating. So obviously, one had to be a male and one had to be a female, or I really don't think it would work out too well. But unfortunately, Princess does not let Fiji mate, so we'll not be having any babies anytime soon. But these birds can live up to about 40 years old. These guys are pretty intelligent. They can learn how to talk and do tricks. Now, you guys do see that I am holding Fiji's neck. Now, that is because he is a little bit bipolar, but it's alright. He is like most males. So, luckily, Fiji is pretty fond of me. I'd say I'm probably his favorite coworker here at Wild Florida. He lets me get away with a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't be getting away with. I'll show you guys a few of the tricks, or a few of the things I've been working on with Fiji after I walk him around. And I will also show you guys his wings. He has these very, very beautiful wings. And then I'm sure most of you guys have noticed that he has a candy corn looking beak. Now that means he's fully mature, or he's sexually ready to go. Now they get that beak around the age of anywhere from 5 to 7 years old, which after that they'd be a fully mature male. Like I said, you guys can't see that candy corn looking beak he has. Like I said, all that means is he's a fully mature male. Now, when they're younger, when they're juveniles, they'll have like a round beak, kind of like Princess, maybe a little bit more light brown. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys his Fiji's wings really quick. He has these very, very beautiful colors hidden under there. And as you guys can see, he does have his wings trimmed so he does not fly away from me. Now, you guys may notice that these birds only have 2 feet and a beak. So how do you think birds climb? His feet and beak, exactly right. So usually whenever a bird goes to climb up on people, people will think they're going to bite them. No, not at all. They're not really going to bite you. They're just trying to help themselves climb up on you. I'll see if he'll let me hold him by his beak. No? Alright. But he does let me do a few things with him. Play with him like he's a toy. I'm not so sure if Princess will let me do that. She's let me do it once, but I will see if she'll let me try. Alright. So that is pretty much it about these two. I'm going to go ahead and put these guys away and bring out another guest for you guys. Alright, everybody. I will be bringing out one of my favorite little girls here and her sidekick. So these two are probably my favorite in the catch, which is what I'm in right now. We call it a catch because this is where we catch all of our show animals. But I will be bringing these two out in a second if they'll let me. Alrighty. So like I said, I have two of my favorite girls here with me. These two beautiful little girls. Alright, so right here, her name is Mocha. And the big girl around me, her name is Red. Now these snakes are both the same species. These guys are red tail boas. And as you guys can see, Red here is a pretty decent sized girl. Now, these are both females, and as you guys can tell, Mocha over here looks a little bit different, and that is mainly because one of her parents were albino. So she is something called a hypo, which means she had an albino parent and a regular parent, and she turned out to this. Now she's displaying a pretty cool thing, climbing in a tree. It's called a boreal. When these snakes are about 6 foot or shorter, they're called the boreal hunters, which just means they hunt in trees, going after birds, stuff that hunt or stuff that's just around in trees, little rats, mice, possums, and whatnot. But obviously, when they're way too big, like the size of this big girl right here, Red. Once they're this big, they're way too big to be hunting in a tree. If they were to strike out, they'd pretty much instantly fall straight to the ground because of their weight. They can't support their own body weight. Now, once they're this big, they're called terrestrial beings, or they hunt on the ground pretty much. Now, snakes, what most people don't realize is that reptiles in general, snakes are reptiles, guys. They don't need that much food at all. Snakes only need to eat about once to twice a week, depending on how big the meal is. She gets a pretty decent size pig on the weekends, so that'll do her for about a week. Mocha up here on the tree, her little stilt, she only gets fed little rats and mice and whatnot. But these snakes can live up to, I believe, about 30 years old, depending if you guys are taking care of them well enough. Now, I will be walking Mocha around because Red's really heavy. I'm going to go ahead and leave her down there and let her chill out. But like I said, these guys are reptiles, so when you do touch them, they might be a little cold to the touch. And usually people say snakes are cold and slimy. Not at all, not really slimy at all. They are cold, like I said, they are reptiles, so they are cold-blooded. But no, they're not really slimy at all unless they've been bathing, and neither of these two were bathing this morning, so they should be pretty leathery. Now, as you guys can see, she's wrapping around my wrist fairly tight, not necessarily trying to eat me or anything like that. So these snakes will do that to help support their body weight. And they'll also do that to help get our body heat from us to them. Like I said, they are reptiles. They can't control their own body temperature. So sometimes they'll do that just to warm up and whatnot. But these snakes, does anyone here think these snakes are venomous?
No.
Exactly, I wouldn't be holding it. So no, these guys are not venomous. These guys are constrictors or cuddlers. So these guys love to cuddle. Whenever they latch onto their prey, they're going to wrap around their lungs or around their throat. Every time the prey takes a breath out, these guys will squeeze and squeeze and squeeze. So there's no breath left in the prey's body. And then what they do, they'll actually dislocate their jaws and eat the prey whole head first, which to me is pretty cool. I know most people don't really like snakes too much, so it might not be too cool to some of you guys. Alright, so like I said, you guys can't see she's squeezing around my hand fairly tight to the point where my hand is shaking a little bit. So a pretty interesting thing about snakes is that their tail is their weakest muscle. You come right over here to their tail, unwind them right off of you. So if you guys are ever being constricted by a snake for whatever odd reason, like I said, go to the tail, unwind them at the tail. The hardest part would definitely be plucking out all of the teeth from wherever they bit you at. Now, I do understand that some of you do want to touch Red, and I mean, I guess I will walk her around for you guys. She's about, I'd say about 10 to 11 foot and anywhere from about 40 to 50 pounds at the moment. Now these snakes, females can get up to about 12 foot, and they can pretty much weigh up to however much they eat.
You said you wanted to touch it. You better touch it now.
You guys are going to realize that these guys are pretty much solid muscle. A snake this size could easily choke me out, and that would be the end of it. But luckily, Red here, she's very, very nice. Yes, she's shedding, and you see that? That means she's growing.
How much does she weigh?
Around 45, or around 40 to 50 pounds. If you guys didn't see Mocha's tail, I'll show you guys Red's tail here.
She's shedding.
That face. Wow.
You guys can see where that tail is right there. And if you guys want to touch her.
I'm like, I want a picture of her little face and tongue. Oh, dang, the lighting sucks. Because it's bright behind her. It's like, gotta come this way.
Oh, geez.
Dang it.
She's still soft. I mean, if you cut her from left to, if you cut her from left, then you'll get funky. I want to own one of these things. I'm never coming to your house.
Alright guys, so that is pretty much it about these two. I will try and put them away really quick. That is if she'll let me.
Get Mocha though.
Don't think you can break the branch.
So I forgot to mention this to you guys, but snakes love food, or love birds, and they can actually taste with their tongue. So everyone in the first row was pretty much getting tasted on by these snakes. They could taste that Princess and Fiji were around you guys, and they could. I'm surprised they didn't bite you guys. No, I'm just kidding. These snakes are very, very nice and pretty tame. We use these guys about every day, so they're used to us handling them and people touching them and whatnot. And they're also used to different smells of the other animals because I work with a lot of the birds. I like working with the birds, and my hands usually smell like birds, and these guys have never tried to bite me, so everyone should be okay. Alright, guys. So I will be bringing out our last guest for you guys. He is a little fluffy. Hope you guys like him. Alright, everybody, say hello to Fluffy. It's kind of ironic, he's really not that fluffy at all. But can anyone here tell me what this is? Are you sure it's a gator?
Crocodile.
Raise your hands if you think this guy here is an alligator. Alright, only a few people raised their hands. Congratulations to whoever did raise your hand. You would be correct. This guy here is an alligator. He is not a crocodile. And how you do tell that is by his U-shaped snout, as I'm about to show you guys. So as you guys can see, Fluffy here does have that U-shaped snout. And then also what most people don't realize or don't know about gators is that they also do have overbites. On these little guys, they may be a little hard to see, but on the bigger gators, it's definitely pretty easy to see. Like I said, the gators are the ones with that U-shaped snout, unlike the crocs. The crocs are more of the ones with that V-shaped snout. And also on crocs, you can see both their top and bottom row of teeth. So sometimes that'll make it look like they're smiling at you guys. I'm just hoping none of you ever trust that smile. Right, so like I said, you can tell that's a gator by the U-shaped snout. And unfortunately, nobody can touch Fluffy with me, but you guys can't touch him after the show with Susan. So does anyone here know how to guess or tell the length of a gator from when they're in the water?
Between their eyes.
Not between their eyes, but it does have to do with their eyes and another object on their face, their nose. So you would be correct. So usually whenever gators are in the water, majority of the time, the only thing us humans would most likely be able to see would be their head. So what we're going to want to do, we're going to want to guess the length from their nose to their eyes. And usually whatever that is in inches is what that would be in feet. So I'm going to say this is around 3 to 3.5 inches at most, give or take a few centimeters. Would you guys agree? Around 3 to 3.5, give or take a few centimeters? Alright, what about you guys? Around 3 to 3.5 inches, give or take a few centimeters? Alright, so all that means is that this little guy here is around 3 to 3.5 foot. And that also means he's around 3 to 3.5 years old. So gators grow a foot a year till they reach the age of 6. Once they do hit the age of 6, their growth rate will slow down a little bit. But these guys keep growing until the day they die. And considering they live anywhere up from 80 to 100 years, these guys have plenty of time to grow. Alright, so does anyone here know why Fluffy has these little webbed feet? To swim. Who else would agree with that? Go ahead and raise your hand really high if you think it's to help them swim. Alright. Congratulations. Whoever didn't raise your hand, you would be correct. So when gators swim, they actually don't use their tail, or they don't use their arms at all. They just use their tail. If you'll let me show you guys, he's being a little wiggly. But gators just use their tail, kind of like a propeller. So if any of you guys know what snowshoes are, these are pretty much like little built-in snowshoes for the swamp. A muddy, swampy environment, if you or I were to try to walk around in, it probably wouldn't turn out too well. We'd end up sinking in, losing our shoes, getting stuck, and it'd just be a pretty difficult time trying to walk around a swamp. So like I said, these are pretty much like little built-in snowshoes, so all they do is just help him distribute his weight. So instead of sinking, he kind of glides along the mud. But also females use their hind legs to scoop up debris like branches, sticks, and leaves. And that is how they'll make their nest. Alright, so moving on to Fluffy's back, I'm sure you guys can see all those little bumps. Yeah, I can't let him run around freely. But as I was saying, you guys can see these little bumps on Fluffy's back here. Those are what you call scutes. They also go by osteoderms. Now these are pretty much like little built-in solar panels for the gators. And these are also made out of solid bone, so it would be quite hard to get through that unless you were another gator. But as I was saying, how these are kind of like the solar panels, what these gators will do at these scutes, they'll put their cold blood into the scutes. They'll sit out in the sun, which is called basking, and then what the blood does, it'll warm up in the scutes, and then it'll filter through its body, like I said, kind of like a solar panel. All right, does anyone here know what Fluffy's strongest muscle is? His jaws. All right. So why do you guys think I have Fluffy's mouth taped shut?
So he doesn't eat us. His jaws are strong.
So he doesn't eat me. All right. So Fluffy's not quite big enough to eat me yet. Maybe you, little guy. No, I'm just kidding. He can't eat you yet. I'm just kidding. Fluffy's jaw is actually strong enough to crush every single bone in my hand, and as well take off a few fingers, though. He also has around 70 to 80 razor-sharp teeth in his mouth, so that would be another reason why I do have his mouth taped shut. But other than that, moving on to Fluffy's second strongest muscle, which is his tail. Now, his tail can launch him up to about 2/3 of his body length out of the water if he really, really felt like jumping that high, which means this little guy could probably jump about that high if he really... What does he do? He could probably jump about that high if he really, really wanted to. But the smaller gators are usually a little bit more athletic than the bigger guys. I mean, that's usually how it is. You're not going to see Crusher over there jumping anytime soon. He's about 14 foot and about 1,000 pounds. And he's also around 60 to 65 years old. He's an old man. But do any of you guys know what a nuisance call alligator is?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's in a pond that neighbors don't want, or if it's trying to attack dogs or anything like that.
Yeah. So all a nuisance call alligator is just what it sounds like. But it is mainly, honestly, just a gator that has been fed by a human before, which I highly don't recommend any of you guys ever doing. First of all, it is illegal to feed wild gators. Second of all, you can be fined and be put in a jail for feeding wild gators. And third of all, it's honestly not the smartest or safest thing to do in the first place. But it is way more unfortunate for these guys. They are extremely lazy and extremely opportunistic. And all that means is once they have been fed by a human, they're going to automatically recognize us as free easy food, which means if he sees anyone in his general vicinity, he's going to come swimming up to them thinking they have food for him. And if you don't have food for him, what are you going to end up? Gator bait, exactly, his food. Now, as you guys seen, Fluffy was whipping me. I probably will have a few nice red welts on me, but it doesn't hurt too bad. That's probably about the worst he could do to me. But like you said, you would most likely end up gator bait or missing a few fingers. Now, this guy here is or was a nuisance call alligator. All of our gators here at Wild Florida are or were nuisance call alligators. We do take them in and rescue all of them, and they do have to live here until they die. And if any of you would like to hold Fluffy, I know a few of you guys do. If any of you would like to take a photo with Fluffy, you guys can follow me right after the show. The only thing is, it's no personal photos. If you guys do decide to buy the photos at the end of the park, we do put all that money back towards the park to help rescue more of our little guys and more of our big guys as well. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and thank you.